Hi guys, I'm Pat, and this is my what review for you. I have chosen to look at the KT Roster versus Invictus Gaming game one in the quarterfinal of the World Championship. And I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm just gonna start this up, right? So right off the bat, we can see Akali and Nocturne Ban, Riot's Ban coming up as well. I've seen this before, so I'm not gonna pretend to predict any of these picks. I am, however, gonna talk about each team. So for KT Roster is like an insanely good macro team, or at least they have been throughout the entire um, time with this particular lineup. They've been looking really solid on their macro part. They are from LCK, so it's not a big surprise. Um, in the LCK summer split, when they won for the first time, securing the first spot, going to Worlds. What I felt like was their biggest win conditions was drafting into 1-4 or 4-1. I think they are the best team in the world at playing the 4-1 style. Smip is insanely good at this, and the entire team obviously knows how to play this play style as well. Um, so for summer split, 1-4 was the go-to. Wave management, their wave management was insanely good. They would always punish if either they got collapsed on the four-man unit, or if Smurf got collapsed on, they would always straight kills for objectives. And we haven't quite seen the same KT roster, or we won't quite see the same KT roster in this series against IG. And to explain why we might not be seeing this, I'll just talk a bit about IG before we go further into this draft. So IG has come out of this world looking like the number two seed. Well, actually being the number two seed as well from China. Doing well though, they have shown why they, for the longest time in China, and unless playing the renounced RNG, we're the strongest and the most dominant team in the entire LPL. And it's because they have the two strongest solo laners I feel in this tournament. The Shy, much like many of the other top laners, Smip and uh, and several other top laners who are mechanically sound and really good at this game. And in this meta, where you get to play a lot of playmaking champions in the top lane, has been bunkers. He's been really good. He's been insanely good. And he's not been afraid to play the 1v1 matchups, and he's been set up to play the 1v1 matchup. And he's just looking overall good. He's looking really good. And Rookie, I'm not even gonna go into depth with this guy because he's just been looking like the best player at this entire tournament. So for me, Invictus Gaming, it's not quite like KT Rosa. KT Rosa is the 4-1 team, 1-4. Invictus Gaming have the strongest win conditions in their solo laners. So the Shy and Rookie has been popping off, and I believe in this meta, which is so skirmish heavy, and wave manage is such a must because you're contesting every objective. Scuttle Crab, Drake, blue buff, red buff. You're constantly contesting and skirmishing in this meta at this world, which means that wave management, matchup management has been like the go-to win condition in early game to snowball games into wins. And the best team on the paper for this is IG, because the solo laners are always winning. The bot lane and the jungler has been very hit or miss in the tournament. Jakilov can look like a guard one game and look like, I don't know, an NA ADC the other game. Same with Ning. Ning, superstar, and then into very mediocrity. So they have had two super reliant hard solo carries. And what I'm hoping for in this draft, what I'll look to in this draft, is to see if they are actually drafting into their win conditions. So KT for the 1-4 and Invictus Gaming for the strong solo laners, or at least with solo laners who have CC or jungle pressure if drafted well. Right? So we see Aatrox first pick. It's really good. Aatrox is probably the best champion on the patch at Worlds. Urgot and Rakan to answer, also really good, because Urgot is like a soft losing. He loses lane to Aatrox for sure, but he's an absolute teamfight monster, and that's exactly what Invictus Gaming wants. Urgot is probably the best champion in the game to secure front to back team fights. So you draft him from front to back, meaning that you only, well, not your only, but your main objective in team fights is actually to nuke the same target, which gets the mid laner, it gets the ADC, it gets the top laner to focus the same target. And Urgot is the very best at actually finishing these off and securing 5v4 fights. So for me, that is really good. If Smeb doesn't dumpster Shy in lane, and Shy has been looking really good, I feel this matchup is okay. It's not like super heavily losing, it's just soft losing for Urgot. At the same time, securing the Rakan is really good. Rakan has been looking strong both with and without Saya, and it's an easy champ to pull off. And Baolan has been looking good and really good at engage supports, and I think this is the right choice because, as I said, IG, they want to skirmish, they want to go, they want to fight for objectives, they want to punish this slow macro game that KT loves doing, loves setting up, waves, vision, play. They want to interrupt KT while they're setting up their 3-step winning factors. So wave, vision, play is like the go-to play style for KT. I feel like Invictus, with this draft so far, and hopefully they're going to keep this up, is going to look to draft something that can disrupt their 1, 2, 3-step win conditions. Okay, I'm going to move on here. KT has secured Kai'Sa. I like this for now. Depends on what else they're going to log in. They're logging in the Kai'Sa, which is really, really okay if they follow it up with something that makes sense. I feel like I'm pretty sure they log in Xin Zhao here at last. If I remember correctly, yeah, they do. When they log in Xin Zhao here, I like this combination because Xin Zhao together with Aatrox secures basically every single 2v2. Okay, so Aatrox will now all the time win top lane because no matter what Invictus draft, unless they try to do the Rek'Sai counter pick, which didn't really seem to work out all that good, they are going to be losing on the top side. Okay, KT Roster out for sure, the winning top side duo. So this should allow Aatrox to play super aggressive in lane, and if Urgot ever disrespects it, or if they try to gank, Aatrox should always have priority in lane to have vision to see ganks coming, so that Xin Zhao can be ready with counter gank. Meaning that top side should be, in theory, for me, uncontestable by Invictus Gaming. I like that. But when Invictus Gaming draft Rakan, I would much rather have seen the Leona ban. And the Leona pick, a second pick here on KT Roster. Instead, it ends up getting banned away by Invictus Gaming. And this makes a lot of sense because Leona has been used against Rakan, not only to deny the immense power of the 2v2 that Rakan Saya has, because Leona actually creates kill pressure on that lane as probably the only support in the game. And securing that pick for KT Rosa would have been so key. For me, right now what they've done is they have secured the top side of the map. And what they should be going for is like a bot lane that can scale. Kai'Sa can do that, Sivir can do it as well. But they need a support to match with it. And I feel Leona had been the very best pick here, because they would have also ensured the 2v2 matchup. So if you already at this time in the draft can secure a winning top side matchup and a winning bot side matchup, on the blue side, you've really hard to stop draft. But they go for Kai'Sa. Obviously, I don't know the reasoning behind this. Maybe they just didn't have success with the Sivir, or they just felt that Kai'Sa was go-to, or that Invictus Gaming was going to go for it. I don't know. But for now, I'd definitely say that Leona would have been super good second pick, and then securing one of the two late game AD carries later on, because it would suit the 4-1 really well for KT Roster. Invictus Gaming lock Saya, so they have like the greatest bot lane duo. They are gonna ban Swain as well. So the Swain ban is super good because it basically allows them to make sure where Aatrox is going, or at least it's going to be very unlikely that they're going to get double flex pick now. Even though the ban could also just be targeted against Yukol, because Yukol has been really good on Swain. Both things are definitely viable. At the same time, KT Rosa is going for the mid lane bans. They are banning LeBlanc and Syndra. Makes sense. Rookie, outstanding performance so far at Worlds. Definitely don't want to give him any comfort picks at all. Right? Everything is looking pretty much as expected so far. And here we go. So Lissandra pickup, amazing. Like I talked about before, Invictus Gaming, they just want to disrupt KT. They want to bring the tempo to this game. They want to keep going. They want to keep hitting that R button whenever it's up. They want to keep forcing skirmishes, and Lissandra is amazing at this. So good pickup. It could be flexed, but most likely not. Okay, KT Rosa looking for Shen. Yeah, they're gonna lock Shen, and then who's the mid laner gonna be here? Galio. Galio? No, I think they're gonna go back to Galio. Okay, so Shen is good into the Zyra account. I talked about locking Leona would have been really good because it creates kill pressure and such, and would have got them a winning 2-2 matchup. What Shen does instead is secure that Kai'Sa probably won't die. Shen is really good against Zyra account to nullify the kill pressure in lane, meaning that with this draft, as it's looking right now, Kai'Sa should have a free lane to farm and scale up in, which is really good. Okay, last pick is Galio into Lissandra. Pretty boring matchup. One shove, the other shove, and there's not a whole lot of kill pressure. Okay, so the draft is finished now. I'm just going to pause it for a second. What I want to talk about now is basically how I do drafting. So we now have two full sets of compositions from each team, and as you can see, there's 53 seconds left on the timer, which means now the drafting coach, in my perspective at least, his job is to make sure that his team understands exactly what he's drafted. There's some obvious points and there's some less obvious points. For me, I have 3 steps that I need to go through every single draft. And I won't do it like when there's only 53 seconds left. I'll do it beforehand when I start drafting, when I start puzzling together the pieces and I find out, okay, this is what I want to go with. So first thing is for me, I always want to make sure that I tell my players about the first 7 minutes. Okay, the first 7 minutes is the early game. How is this going to play out? Or how have I planned in my head when I made this draft that this should play out? The reason I do this is to give them a game plan. The game plan early on. And this is just my game plan. This is my thought process behind the draft. Obviously, they will be able to adapt to it or change things if they don't completely agree with my thought process in how I drafted or how the early game should be played out. But I will at least give them that so they have like a clear idea, okay, this is why he drafted like this is what he wants us to do. So I'm going to do this real quick. On the blue side, winning matchups, top side, meaning that top side scuttles should always be in favor of KT Rolster. Always, all the time, 100% of the time, even after 6. Which means if the secondary scuttle after the 2 first spawns, when they are dead and the next one spawns, if that's top side, I would always tell my team to contest that no matter what. The reason why you contest scuttle is 1, get the XP, get the gold, but 2, to force skirmishes. At this Worlds, Scuttle Crabs has been contested over and over and over, and I feel like if you can make sure, if you can let your team know that you have drafted particularly for this, and that you have drafted a winning 3-man, a winning 2-man, it's important for me to always let my team know, okay, this is a massive part of our win conditions is to bait them out into a skirmish that we are clearly stronger in, and this is post 6 and it's pre 6. So that's good. Mid lane matchup is super boring. The only way that anyone's gonna kill anyone in the mid lane is by baiting out the aftershock, and I think this is a very little used strategy that I wanted to see more, and that I try to apply in my coaching and my drafting. In this meta, when you have quite a few users of aftershock, I see far too often that people gank them while the aftershock is still up, and you don't kill anything with aftershock. The flat stats are too big. It's just too big. What you want to do is basically what Fnatic does. I think it's in the semifinal, where they are all the time just baiting out the aftershock in the mid lane and then ganking him, because those flat resistances are too much to deal with in any early gank. Right, and same goes the other way around. Like for Galio, it's the same. If Galio ever uses E in lane, uses his own aftershock, you can gank him. But beyond that, you just leave mid lane alone and let them do plays on the map. Early game matchup, Xin Zhao is stronger than Camille, so he'll have priority anywhere. Pre-6, Lissandra should have first move. Post-6, Galio should always have first move. So pre-6, Camille can do a bit of things on the bot side, contest Scuttle maybe, look for ganks there, but she can definitely not do anything top side, and post-6 she cannot do anything either. Unless she has clear vision or knowledge of cooldowns of Galio and Xin Zhao. Bot lane matchup should be nullified. Shouldn't be anything going on in the first 7 minutes. So I'd say in the first 7 minutes, this should be looking at KT Rolster dictating the game on the top side, with Invictus Gaming having some sort of chance of contesting bot side objectives. Right. Next thing I talked to my team about is win conditions. So win conditions can be a lot of things. For me, it's exactly how you play the draft in order to win. And the reason why I chose this game is actually because I feel like KT Rolster did not play to their win conditions. So what you see now is a strong early draft, which lead to a hypercarry in the late game in form of Kai'Sa. But beyond that, they are getting outscaled in basically every single way. Lissandra pretty evenly matched to Galio. Urgot stronger than Aatrox, Camille stronger than Xin Zhao, Rakan more impactful than Shen. So like they're getting pretty heavily outscaled in the 5v5. This means that they need to create a lead early on, and when they have cracked the outer turrets, this is for me when mid game starts. When all the outer turrets are down, mid game starts. Because this is when you need to be good at map rotations, you need to be good at wave management, you need to be good at vision in order to keep creating goal advantages, meaning getting kills gets less important unless kills translate into objectives. So at this point of the game, it's super important that you have very clear win conditions on how you want to translate kills into objectives, or how you want to translate wave management into objectives, vision into objectives. And for KT, for me, what they need to do this game is always have Galio in the middle, Aatrox in one side lane, Xin Zhao hovering between mid and the side where Shen and Kai'Sa is playing, and that's it. That's a lane assignment right there. Because what it will do is that they can continuously synchronize the waves, push in as 3, and have Galio roam wherever they collapse. Okay, so whenever Galio is up, you want to force a play. Until very late in the game, Aatrox have priority in the Urgot matchup, so sending Galio over there is really good because they will never lose it to a 2. The only risk of doing this is the hard engage on the bot side. Okay, so if Kai'Sa and Shen get hard engaged on by Lissandra and Rakan and Camille, they can get pretty screwed over. This is the biggest risk, which is why you always want to make sure that they are standing the furthest behind. You want to set up a 3-1-1, but you want to make sure that your 2 people from the bot lane, Kai'Sa, Shen, are always the furthest back. Then you want to use the pressure from Aatrox to call in Galio, or you can set up a different kind of push where you have Kai'Sa lurking behind in the lane with Aatrox, jumping in with ult, follow up with Shen. What you don't want to do as KT Rosa, no matter what, because the team is not designed for this, is 5-5-5. You cannot fight 5v5. You can skirmish really well, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4. You cannot 5v5. Invictus Gaming's team comp is made to 5v5. They have Urgot, they have Lissandra, Camille, Saya, Rakan. Whichever target they want to die immediately will die immediately. And when they kill something immediately, they will have a 5v4. The issue with this is that, unlike many other compositions that want to create an immediate 5v4 situation, this kind of team comp that Invictus Gaming has drafted does not limit them to like one immediate burst. They have a lot of sustainable damage. And that will be the biggest issue for KT Rolster. If they ever get to a situation where Aatrox does not win early game, or Kai'Sa becomes a non-factor, or they simply don't do lane assignments properly. This is the biggest issue. So for me, KT Rosa's win conditions are clear, but they're super hard. And they're super hard against IG's draft. IG can pretty much at any point of the game create a pick. But KT Rosa has a pretty good answer to these kind of picks. So what they need to do is simply be ready with it with Kai'Sa and Shen. But they can never fight 5v5. Okay, let's see how this game goes, because it's been a while since I saw it. But I'm pretty sure that IG wins this game. Let's see. Just gonna scroll a bit forward here. Then I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna put this to speed 2, so you guys don't die of boredom. Here we go. Okay, let's go. Okay, so standard level 1. Spreading out, covering visage, line of scrimmage is called, at least in Danish. There's not much to be said here. One thing I'd like to highlight is we can take a look at the jungle pathing here, okay? Because like I said, top lane is a winning matchup, bot lane is an even matchup, and mid lane is an even matchup as well. This means that Camille should never look to be top early, because if she ever runs into Xin Zhao, she dies. So what Camille needs to do early is either trade bot side scuttle for top side scuttle, or check with the vision that her solo lane in mid and bot lane is set up if she needs to do vertical jungle. Doesn't look like it. Wow, okay. So here Saya gets chunked super early, and that's kind of bad in this matchup. Shen shouldn't be able to land taunts on her this early. This forces her cleanse, and this cleanse is going to be really important later on, but we're going to get back to that. Right, so Xin Zhao knows that Camille started topside and has probably checked with jungle pathing from Ning and seen that this is his go-to jungle pathing. This means that he knows he can always go straight to the scuttle grab. Like if Camille is there, she's going to get collapsed upon, especially after KT getting priority in the bot lane. I don't think they should have been able to get priority. I feel like Mata must have played really well, or Jackie really, really poorly in order for that to happen. This should mean that that score is gonna get away with 2 scuttles, unless he doesn't. Actually, he sees Camille going for Grum. So right now, I feel like he should be pathing towards topside in order to secure the scuttle. Then he'll get the 2 first scuttle, and he'll for sure be able to secure the 3rd as well. Because with the 2 first scuttles, he's gonna be massively strong compared to Camille. I think this is what we're gonna see, and Ning is gonna try to do the catch-up game because he does not have anywhere to gank. Like there's nowhere for him to gank right now. If he goes top, he dies. If he goes mids, at the very best, like the very best, he forces a flash. I feel that's the best we're gonna get here. Okay, let's see here. He's going top. I think he's just covering for scroll gank, which makes sense. Because if Score does gank here, Urgot will be massively done in this lane. Like there's gonna be no coming back from that. So what we need to see now from KT is that they have priority in lanes in bot lane and top lane and jungle. These leads needs to be translated into CS leads and objectives. So for me, the issue is that right now they have lost priority in bot, which is fine. So they can't contest Drake unless Xin Shao solos it. We'll see if he does that. But for now, there's like not a lot he can do. Aatrox have slow push top wave in. There's no possible gank for Xin Shao there. Bot lane is not gankable. No, mid lane is not gankable. Bot lane, this happens. Yeah, this is really good. This is really good. This might be one of the reasons I chose this game as well. Because this is superb. What happens here? What happens here? This is so good. Let me just scroll back here. What happens here is that because that Shen Mata forced Jackaloff's cleanse so early on, they timed it. You can see, if you look at the screen, you can see the cleanse is actually kind of close to getting up again. It's like really close to being up again. And this is what timing summoners will do for you. This is the only reason this plays work, by the way. Because if not, she's just going to walk away. As she does, she's going to do the good old, what's it called? Immediate cleanse and then flash. If that happens, she's guts free. That's okay. In the worst case scenario, they trade 1 for 1 and 1 for 0, and this play doesn't look all that bad. But because the cleanse is forced so early on, and they time it, they're able to do this gank. And this gank is super innovative. You'll see the gank, the ward placed in this brush as well. It's just too good. It's too good because this ward is only there for one purpose, and that's the TP. So this gank is only doable due to cleanse, but this is like an adaptive play. This is not standard. This is not something you see every day, and for me, it's really good. One thing that secures this is that Galio has pushed this lane out, and the same with Aatrox. They have prior on lane. Galio has only push prior. He doesn't have any prior in terms of trading or anything like that. While Aatrox can make sure that Urgot never goes in. So this is just really well played by KT. There's not much more to say to this. And this really goes to show that it haunts you if you misplay in early lane against a team that's really good at macro, because this is a really good macro play. And I'm not saying that other teams wouldn't have been able to make this play, but particularly KT will definitely make this play when given the opportunity. We'll actually see it in another game. I think it's the next game where the setup for it is so much worse, and they actually end up, I think, dying from it. But this play is good. Look at this. The timing is so good on Xin Shao. Like the TP comes in right before he enters the tri-bush, because they know there's a pink one in the river. So right when he enters the tri-bush, the TP starts. The TP Galio will land the same time as Xin enters the lane. It's perfect. Perfect execution. I like this a lot. Right. 1k gold lead. This is good. This is what we talked about early on. Win conditions are being met. Top lane pressure, jungle pressure, bot lane advantage due to a slight misplay. This is all really good, to be honest. This is all really good from KT Gaming, KT Rolster, sorry. 6 minutes in, we talked about the early game plan for the first 7 minutes beforehand. Right now you can see Xin Shao securing the secondary Skullcrab. Boom, it's right there. It's on the top side. It's free. This is good. This is really good by KT, and they're doing exactly as they're supposed to do. One thing I would have liked more in this game is that Aatrox, when he has so much priority in a lane, I feel like because Urgot is an auto-pushing champion, his auto attacks when he has the shotgun leg is auto-pushing. Because of this, I feel like with the priority Aatrox have, he should have set his wave up for Score to gank earlier, or should we start to doing it now? And it should be the only thing that he's focusing about, because this is where they really want to snowball the game, and this is where it's really obvious, and a really obvious win condition for KT to snowball the game. Okay, Gangbot, flash used by Rookie. No flash on Shen. The only thing that annoys me about this play is that it feels like a bit of disrespect from Mata, because if we go back and look at this, we'll see that UCal through this entire play was actually pinging it. You'll see it here, ping, 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 ping. But they're pinging him for blue, but blue doesn't spawn yet. Like, it's yellow, so they know it's not up. Even when the gank is done, it's not up. So this is just pure disrespect by Mata. He should never be in a position to get ganked here, even with the Sandra E flash. That's the only thing slightly annoying about that I would address with the players, because disrespected. Like, there's no reason to disrespect. Score, going in, getting a camp here. I like it, and I think he should be doing it more. Score right now is so strong. Like, he's massively strong. He has his first complete item, and Camille only has Skirmisher and Tiamat. So he is insanely strong compared to that of Camille. And I feel like he should be using this lead constantly. So he got the wolf camp. He knows Scuttlecrab is about to spawn again. Mountain Drake is up. He has like a ton of plays to be made here. Bot lane, ignore it. It's free scaling. Okay, they got the advantage they needed. It's fine. Mid lane, ignore it, because there's no real ganking opportunity. Okay, this leaves him with a few plays. Drake, Scuttlecrab, and top. And they need to start doing this, because they are on a timer for sure. They're on a team fight timer at least. They're not really on like a certain timer. Well, they are on a certain timer. They cannot team fight when it gets later into the game. Scuttlecrab taken by Score here. It's good. It's what he's supposed to do. He's getting wards in the enemy jungle. Now, what I really want him to do, and what I miss from Score all the time when he's playing this kind of role, is time the jungle camps. Just time them and be there 10 seconds ahead. Because what we'll see as this game goes further, and what I've noticed from Score this entire tournament and the next couple of games against IG in particular as well, it's he doesn't time jungle camps, and this leaves him with very little room to secure enemy camps. And I feel like in this game, that actually turns out to be a lose condition for him. It's a win condition for IG that he doesn't time them. And that's super bad, because he's super strong, and Camille can do nothing against it. Galio will have first move, Aatrox does have priority in top lane, so he will also move first. Right now what he's doing is just clearing his own jungle. I feel like this is a huge mistake, because what you want to be doing at this point in the time of the game, when you're this strong, like, fuck your own camps. Sorry. Don't do your own camps. There's no point. It's free XP. You will get it. If you invade right now, the Raptors are up right now. If you invade that, you get free XP. You deny her XP, you get XP, and there's no chance of retaliation from her. No chance. Her laners are simply too weak. They're too weak. It's not because they're far behind. They're 800 gold behind. That's not a lot. But in terms of a matchup, she's very far behind. In the 1v1 matchup, 2v2, 3v3 matchup, she's very far behind. So what you want to be doing is punish her. Punish her, punish her, punish her. All the time. Right, so what we'll see here, okay, is a gank. That's not bad. That's not good. It's not good either. I think that Galio at the time actually had his Aftershock down, which meant that the timing for the game was okay, but KT was nearby, so there's nothing to do. The secondary rotation here of spells is good from IG. Honestly, it's good, because they're forcing out ultis. So Galio ult, Sen Shao ult. These ults are good to get out of the way for IG, because they want to scale into a point where they can team fight as 5. When they can do 5v5, they win. If KT plays into it. So what they do when they force ult is that they delay KT roster from making big plays. Getting the Mountain Drake is not the biggest deal in the world. I think it's pretty big actually because Mountain Drake and Kaiser works really well at securing early barons. But beyond that, they don't really have the best sieging team. They have a good 1-1-3 team, 3-1-1. They have a pretty good baron take, but Mountain is not the worst or the best for either team. So this is okay. It doesn't cost them a lot of gold either. And still, you see the gold gap is 700 gold at the moment. For me, what I'm most like annoyed about or sad about in terms of win conditions for both teams is Xin Xiao not pushing an advantage. He got the early gold, he got the early item, just punish. I did not talk about this in Champions League, but item spikes are like one of the things I always talk about with the team as well. Because if you have a team that spikes really heavy on one item and 2 items, and then you have another team who spikes really well at 3 or 4 items, what I see a lot in EULCS, NALCS, even LPL is teams not playing into item spikes really well, and actually losing because of it. And in this game, I feel like first item power spike for these teams is insanely good on the top side of the map. But it's really good for both teams, except that Camille's first item is always going to be super delayed because you want to go Tiamat. So that, again, it ensures a 2-2. Okay, here we are, 13 and a half minutes into the game. Xin Xiao just walked into the lane brush. This is what I wanted to see 6 minutes ago, because this game is super staffed from kills. No kills, very low kill heavy. And for me, it didn't have to be. I feel like Xin Xiao could have gone up here and forced over and over and over. They have priority in top. They have first move in mid. They have a winning jungle matchup. This, they could have done that since level 7. It's just all over and over. Because what Aatrox does is give you a free, risk-free dive if you can track enemy jungle. So for me, the one thing that Score did poorly this game was denying resources from Camille and set up vision to abuse topside, because topside was the very obvious point of abuse, easy abuse, no counterplay. And at this time, when they have Shen at level 7, like there's no chance of dying. But then again, if the logic behind it was that they wanted to wait Shen level 6, I feel like they're playing too safe, because Xin Xiao and Aatrox, there's no way they're gonna lose. There's no way when Xin Xiao is ahead, and if they ever know where Camille is, and they know they can create a 2v1 situation, it's done. It's just done. Right. Anyway, pretty solid so far by KT. I feel like that tempo is too slow. Their vision game is too slow. And the punishment of Camille has been non-existent. However, getting the first word is fine. It's really good. They need to get that. What I'd like to see now is actually keep the same lane matchups. Aatrox TP down to save the bot turret. Questionable whether that was worth or not. I mean, he did save it. All he did was deny a turret. I guess it's okay because they want to deny global gold. It just seems like a lot of wasted effort when what for me would have been a better play was just to keep playing top, secure the Herald, and then keep the TP as a TP threat while playing topside still. Just keep Aatrox in the topside. You don't need to use him anywhere else actually. Like you could even force tier 2 turrets with Xin Xiao, Aatrox, and Herald, or just repeat dive Urgot again and have the Shen TP in with his ulti. If they end up losing the okay, I'm just gonna pause here. So what happens is that he burns TP. He burns TP, and they end up still losing the turret. That's bad. This fight right here is, I mean, talk about huge lose conditions. This is really bad by KT, and really well collapsed by IG. Let's just watch this unfold. So they step up against Urgot and Lissandra and Camille. First thing here, Aatrox, Lissandra has Aftershock. She's unkillable. Unkillable beast. Urgot, super tanky by definition. Camille uses her ult well, doesn't get focused. So for starters, it's a poorly executed fight. But my main point right here in this is that if you look at the minimap right now, you'll see Xin Zhao at the top side. He's doing Herald. He's getting a legitimate objective. He's getting a really good objective that can create more advantages for his team. It can crack open the mid lane turret, it can crack open the bot lane turret, it can force pressure on the top lane tier 2 turrets, so other lanes can either collapse or force enemy team to collapse top, and then they can have advantage to push turrets in other lanes. Instead, what KT does here, it's like really uncharacteristic of KT, because this is poor macro. This is just poor macro. Like the micro in this, you'll see when it plays out, is bad as well. But the macro is very unlike KT. Very unlike. Let's play this out. Okay, Camille follows up. Rakan comes in, lands a 3-man ulti. They get a free kill. They get 2 free kills. Galio and Shen goes down. They wasted 1, 2, 3, 4 ultis, and all of this time, Score was just securing the right objective. He was making the proper macro play. And the issue with this is if Score is 0-2 or something at this point, and Aatrox has the 2 kills, or Kai'Sa has the 2 kills or 3 kills, this could have played out really well. It could have been okay. But Score is sitting on all 3 kills. He has 100% kill participation. He has all the gold on his team. All the gold. This is a big mistake, because right now the team score is like 3-3 and the gold is even. Before this they were down like approximately 1k. But that entire gold lead was on Xin Zhao. Fighting there was a big mistake. They didn't play around the Lissandra Aftershock. They didn't have the strongest team member there, and they fought a 4v4. Which was not a skirmish. They did not initiate it, or they did initiate it, but without the strongest member. They played into IG's win conditions. And I feel like this is why, for me, it's so important to make sure that you discuss and talk about win conditions. Because surely this fight would never ever be a KT win condition. They can do a lot of things with their draft. They can split the team up. They can work onto it. They can force with the 2v2 skirmishes on the top side of the map where they're strongest. Having a 4v4 with your 4 weakest members? No, that's not a win condition. And I feel like this is the first time we're going to see it in this game, that they're not playing to the win conditions, while IG is. And for me, that's a really big point, because lane assignments and win conditions and item power spikes are things that I think are sometimes neglected to talk about in draft. Especially from my experience on the Nordic scene and in the UK. Things like these, things like win conditions, item spikes, lane assignments in particular, needs to be set out. They need to be discussed, because yes, these players are really good at the game. Like, these games in this particular game are superstars of the game. They are amazing at the game. But when you are so good and you have so much knowledge, it can be hard to make something really concrete. And in this game, I feel like that's what we're seeing. Concrete win conditions are missing from KT. Alright. This cost them a turret as well. Free turret. There's no point defending this at all. And they don't, so that's good. That's good. This shifts the gold lead into IG. This is bad. This is genuinely really bad. And this is even worse because Urgot gets 2 kills, which means that the time for Aatrox to dominate the 1v1 matchup is running out. It's running out now. And that's going to be an issue for IG. No, sorry. KT. Because KT, they really want to play 1-1-3. If that's what they decided to do. Because for now, it seems like they're struggling a bit with exactly how they want to play this team comp. They still have the Herald here, okay? So nothing lost. We just reset. We're back to even. 18 minutes in. We have 1.5, 1. People are still not quite hitting that 2-item power spike. When they do, we're going to talk about power spikes, because Urgot's level 2, no, power spike 2 2 item power spike is insane. Lissandra is insane. She has utility in form of CD and Sonya's effect. Camille gets a warrior, and the second item comes again a bit later than most junglers. So her 2 item power spike is not gonna be hitting the same time as Lissandra and Urgot. But my point here being that with Urgot getting 2 kills, the 2 item power spike has actually already shifted over to the over in favor of IG. And when it does that, this game is going to be super hard for KT because all they can do now is split up. If they try to team fight now, they're going to get run over. They do not have the tools to team fight. Kai'Sa is not strong enough to pop anyone. She can literally not deal damage to anyone right now with her Stormrazor and Recurve Bow. Just nothing she can do. So for now, you need to play around your top side again. The only issue with this is the outer turrets are broken, except one. So the map is a lot more open now, meaning that it's super hard for Aatrox and Xin Zhao to isolate the Urgot. It's super hard now compared to what it was before. Before they made this silly team fight in the mid lane, before they made this rotation, it was a lot easier. So now, KT's win conditions are looking a bit more slim, because the way their 1-1-3 comp works is that they need priority in at least 2 lanes. If they don't have priority in 2 lanes, Galio can never move freely. And if Galio cannot move freely, he cannot collapse and force plays on the stronger side lanes. The only strong player right now is Xin Zhao. And what is the issue with Xin Zhao right now? It's that Xin Zhao is primarily, almost entirely, an early game jungler. His ult is super great for teamfighting later on. Don't get me wrong, he's not bad. But his skirmishing power is heavily in the early game. And this is where my criticism of Skull is. This is why I've criticized him this game, because despite being 3-0, he's not pushed or abused his lead a lot. And for me, that is the number 2 reason that KT is losing this game so far. Skull has not pushed his advantage enough, and KT took a really bad fight. We'll see a new fight here. KT gets to start it. They're fighting 5v5. They cannot fight 5v5. They have a Kai'Sa with no items. She has no items. Like, she doesn't have Rage Blade. She doesn't have any item. This is really bad. I just want to go back and look at this one more time. Okay, so look at this. We're setting up, okay? Look, we're setting up in the mid lane. We have Aatrox in the top side. We have Xin Zhao in the top side. Urgot is dealing with the top wave, but Urgot has TP. We know Urgot has TP. We know Lissandra has TP. So how do you want to play this? If you're looking at this objectively, if you're KT, you want to create a play, where do you want to create a play? You want to create a play on one of the TP users. Can you create a play on Lissandra? No. She has Aftershock, she has E, she's unkillable. At this stage in the game, unkillable. Like Flash, Ult, Aftershock, no. No way you kill her. Urgot is your only chance of creating picks, of creating kills. Because otherwise you're going to have a 5v5. When you get the 5v5, you lose. This is pretty clear. The front to back from IG, so much better. The consistent damage, so much better. Especially until Kai'Sa hits an item power spike. And at this point in the game, she has not. And this is going to be the big issue for KT. You can see here, they're forcing fights again. No pressure. Not into Urgot. They just use the Herald with no pressure in any side lanes. It's not even gonna let them a turret, and now they end up in a 5v5. Now front to back is not good, and the worst of this, no ult on Aatrox. Aatrox pops his ulti so early in this fight that there's no chance of winning the fight. He's popping his ulti as a damaging tool, I think. Oh, this is bad. Let's see here. Right. Aatrox is fighting up there. They are summoning Rift Herald. They're trying to stall them on the side here. You probably, I don't know. I don't know why he pops ult here. But when he pops ult here, again, these are the best players in the world. That 5v5 is not good. They can only fight via side lanes. And the Aatrox doesn't have ult. Like, you cannot fight without Aatrox ulti. You do not have the necessary means to win a fight. You don't have that free JEA. You don't have that free stalling in the fight where Kai'Sa can really get to auto attack a lot, because when Aatrox dies without his ult up, he just dies. Like, he dies permanently. Boom, over. And that means that the reason why Kai'Sa works really well in this kind of team composition is because when she has more items, right now she has a bit more than 1.5, she can actually get a lot of auto attacks off, because Xin Zhao, Galio, Aatrox will stall the fight. But because Aatrox doesn't have ult, he just immediately dies. Because Aatrox doesn't have Aftershock, he immediately dies. And then it's over. You're fighting 5v5 against a 5v5 team comp. Your team comp is 1-1-3. And I think this is ulti from Xin Zhao as well. Yeah. This is gonna be one of the rare times. Except for the next 2 games in this series, actually, unfortunately. No, the next game as well. This game and the next game. This is the worst macro I've ever seen from KT, ever, and it's very it bears resembles to NA and EU LCS in terms of lack of understanding of win conditions, because this is what I see all the time doing WOT reviews. All the time, while coaching, doing WOT reviews, while playing my own team, because obviously Good Game Esport isn't LCK worthy either. But this is bad macro. This is not knowing how to assign your lanes properly, not knowing what your team comp can and can't do, and it's very uncharacteristic of KT. And at the same time, IG has drafted and played straight into their win conditions. Straight. Ning might be a bit of a hit or miss jungler. Ends up being, I don't know, he's the like MVP of the finals series there. But Ning can look like a superstar, but can also look really bad actually. And in this game, he's just allowed to get out of a really hard matchup scot-free, and that's not Ning doing really well. It's really not, in my opinion, it's really not. I think it's Score not pushing his advantage enough, and Smep not pushing his advantage enough. The top side of the map, Aatrox, Xin Zhao, Galio could have, should have, would have, if they gotten the chance, I'm sure, done a lot more with the early game lead. Okay, so let's look at this objectively now. How does KT bounce back from this? Because this is a pretty hard situation. You have Kai'Sa, who's still not got his second item, against Sai, who got 2.5 items. Got 2 items Galio versus 2 items Lissandra. Neither of those matter. Like, it matters in the way that Lissandra cannot die, but Galio can die. That's it. You have Xin Zhao. He's super strong, but his power spike and time of spike as a champion is done. He's over. He's no longer capable of creating skirmishes, because when IG is ahead, they just go as a 5-man unit. Like, they have no reasoning, zero reasoning at all for not taking 5v5 fights now, and that's the issue. This is the biggest issue, because this limits KT's win conditions by so much, because all they can do now is hope for IG to make a mistake, and by the looks of it, they're not. They're playing straight into the win conditions, and Urgot is probably, no, he's not actually tanky enough that he couldn't be killed by Xin Zhao and Aatrox yet. But this is the issue. He's not going to be alone in the side lane anymore. Why would he? The team comp has been drafted to play as a 5-man unit, so obviously they're going to play as a 5-man unit. Okay, let's roll this game out. I'm just going to speed it up a bit here. Here we go. I think it didn't speed it up at all. Let me see. There we go. Okay. So, what can IG do now? IG needs to create vision, create slow pushing side lanes, side lane, and by side lane I mean bot lane, and set up vision for Baron. That's all they gotta do. Create vision for themselves, deny vision from enemy team, KT. If KT ever and I mean ever, steps up to Baron to check it for wards or whatever, it's establish new wards, they should get insta punished. The issue right now is that they have Lissandra and Urgot who can tank the Baron for ages and not get punished by it. Yeah. And if KT ever face checks, ever face check Baron, they have Lissandra, Camille, Urgot, Rakan to hard engage and punish. And that's exactly what we're gonna see here. KT steps up in order to create vision of the Baron to see if they can land the steal or get anything out of it, and IG just turns around. This for me right here is probably one of the reasons why IG is world champions. Like, besides the point that they have the strongest top laner and mid laner, we know that everyone's talking about it. I agree, they're super strong, but these guys are a unit. Okay, so one, they know how to play for each other. They know how to spare with each other. They know how to position themselves zone for each other in team fights. But two, throughout this entire tournament, maybe except a couple of Fnatic games, this team knows exactly how to play into their win conditions. I'm not saying that every game IG is playing, they draft super well, the beast of drafting, but whatever draft they draft into, they play to their win conditions. And this is super rare. And this world is super rare. Because you see at this world, you see people contesting Scuttle Crabs that are uncontestable, Drakes that are uncontestable, Barons that are uncontestable. You see this over and over. The only team I would say that on a continuous basis has played two win conditions, even when losing, has been IG. And in this game they do it as well. I would say in this game they're lucky as well, because I feel like actually they got pretty heavily outdrafted, considering their red side. But then again, not really, because KT's win condition was very limited, and when you make a draft that is only losing by very few win conditions, and if you can, if you can put words to those limited win conditions for your enemy team, you know how to play against it. For me, this game though was not about IG being exceptional at denying KT their win conditions, but much more about KT not abusing their win conditions, and I've said it a million times. I'm not going to repeat it more than this one more time. Abuse the Urgot, abuse the Camille. You didn't do it. You got hard punished. You lost to power spike timings. You lost to lane assignments. You lost to wrong timings for team fighting and lack of vision and lack of wave setup. And that's pretty much it for me about this game. The reason why I picked this game was because it's one of the things I praise so highly as a drafter. As a drafter, there's a lot of things you need to do. For me, it's like being the sixth player of the team. You need to make sure you get a good draft for starters. Being red or blue side, you need to draft to the meta of those two sides, because there's rarely one meta, like one overall meta. There's a meta for blue side, there's a meta for red side. You need to inform your team of the reasoning behind your draft. You need to let them know what's your plan for the first 7 minutes. How does item power spike factor into your win conditions? What are your win conditions? And one of the most important thing and most neglected things in EU, NA, LPL is lane assignments. When all outer turrets are down and you need to start focusing on doing a proper wave management, doing a proper vision game, you also need to focus on how to properly assign people to lanes instead of just sending your ADC top lane, because there's two waves to pick up. Like, I think that's one of the issues that goes again and really creates a lot of losses for a lot of teams. And I feel like that's where I could make a difference for sure in these categories as a drafting coach. I see myself as being very very potent. And I think I did this what for now I can do a lot more. I have a lot more where I can showcase exactly what I mean and prove my point towards these things that I'm talking about being some of the major lose conditions for a lot of teams. The major reasonings behind losses for a lot of teams, a lot of good teams that actually draft well but doesn't play that draft as they're supposed to, like KT in this game. That's it for me. I hope you're not tired of my voice yet. I hope that this VOD review was okay, and I look forward to hear more from you guys. Hopefully, you found this interesting. Bye.